This month on Along the Beach, we turn the tables on one of our own as the interviewer becomes the interviewee. Next on Along the Beach. Hey, it's Bill Ullery with Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices, beach properties of Florida. These are always fun shows to do because I've said for so long that even though we have incredible beaches and great places to visit, I really think it's the people that make this place. And so this is exciting for me to interview Jimmy Burgess, our Chief Growth Officer. I had to go a whole 50 feet, Jimmy, to ask you to do this, so I appreciate you joining us.
No, Bill, I appreciate that. What everybody doesn't realize is how far our families go back and the impact your dad's had on my life. And so, man, are you kidding me? I'm excited to talk to you today.
This is great. Well, we're going to cover a few different things here, but just want to start, kind of introduce yourself, kind of what you do here. I kind of, you weren't here, but when we started the intro, I mentioned that the interviewer was become the interviewee. So, Jimmy, just to give you a little bit before he jumps in, Jimmy has interviewed all kinds of people all over the world, probably, and has a great podcast that he can tell you about. But today he's on the hot seat. So tell everybody a little about yourself.
Yeah. So I grew up in Walton County. It's like seeing a unicorn. There aren't many of us that grew up here and are still here. And so got the opportunity to really start selling real estate. Family-owned real estate company in Walton County in 1994. Well over half of my life I've been selling real estate. And so we were looking at this to kind of see what the growth is so far as the market now and where we're headed. Along 30A specifically, and Destin, Panama City as well. When I started in 1994, there was a grand total of $36 million worth of sales on all of 30A for the entire year. And we're going to do about $4 billion worth of residential real estate sales this year. So to say that things have changed would be an understatement. And I shifted about 2 years ago out of the sales side of it, and I got the best job in the world, man. I mean, really, all I got to do is just get up and figure out how I can help you help your clients better. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I really enjoy doing. And this is the fun stuff, man. For us getting to share some of the things that are going on, what we're seeing, where the opportunities are for buyers and sellers right now is man, this is where I get my juice. Yeah.
Well, just to embarrass Jimmy for a minute, he's been a huge mentor in my career, and we could line up agents out the door that would say the same thing, and so we certainly appreciate all he does for us. But we're going to jump right into kind of our market here. We're experiencing things we've never seen before. Mm-hmm. You've been here your whole life. You've seen just about everything, and now you can add global pandemic to the list. And it just seems like this area seems to always withstand anything that's thrown at it. Yeah. It gets punched in the face and it comes back. Why do you think this? We have our ups and downs like any market does, but it almost seems immune to and to anything that happens. Why do you think that is?
Well, I just think that some things never change. I mean, when you look at it, the white sands don't change. Yeah. That crystal clear water doesn't change, and there's just something about whether you're coming in from the west, east, or north. When you cross bridges to get to South Walton County, it's like your blood pressure goes down. Mm-hmm. And so every time we've had a disruption throughout my 27 years of being in real estate sales here, it's not been something that disrupted us. It may have set us back on some things, but it was literally typically a squat to jump kind of situation. And so when we see something like the pandemic, we see those things, it brings more clarity to the fact that, hey, those things I talked about that I wanted to do, you never know, so I want to make sure I take advantage of it now. So it made our area even more attractive. As we saw, the things, it's almost like a lot of these things just create, the old no news is, all news is good news.
Right.
For our area, it's been that way. Typically what we're seeing, like with the pandemic, all of a sudden you realize, we got 25,000 acres worth of state park that's going to keep this place looking a lot like it does right now. We've got height restrictions along the beach. We've got the density. We've got outdoor living that has become more and more, important to people. So all the things that have been going on typically are drawing more and more people here. The healthy lifestyle is becoming more and more important. Mm-hmm. The ability, to still, go jump in the Gulf this afternoon and swim around and have that salt water just soothe your soul. I mean, that's something that it just doesn't change. So we've got a unique situation here that every time we've had adversity, it's been seeds for something that was bigger than where we were even before.
Yeah. Well, I also want to jump in here too to a conversation I have all the time. I'm sure you do as well, as it pertains to buyers. And I get asked all the time. With this market, we're still very much in a seller's market. Our inventory is still low, although we're seeing some increase in that a little bit. What kind of conversations do you have when you're talking to people and they're saying, "Hey, Jimmy, I don't know. Should I buy now? Should I wait in 2 or 3 years?" Because if it's somebody who's ready to buy,
right,
and they're just going to wait because they think maybe it might be better, and it may be. If I was listening to a guy you've actually interviewed up in Philadelphia, Tom Toole, he made a great point. He said, in 2 or 3 years, we may have lower home prices, but the interest rates we're experiencing that are record lows right now most likely are not going to be this way in 2 or 3 years. So he said, hey, your monthly mortgage rate could very easily be more in 2 years than it is today, which was very interesting. But what's that conversation looking like with people that are thinking about what to do?
Well, first of all, I think it's everything's personal. You know what I mean? So I mean, if it's in a situation where people are trying to make that decision, I think our job is to give them the best information they can to make the best time frame for them. There's so many different factors in here when you buy here. You're looking at, okay, we're buying this with the potential to rent it out, for instance. Well, we're at record numbers of rents. And in reality, our rental income has gone up faster in the last 2 years than our prices have gone up. So if you're looking at, was the investment side of it better 2 years ago or now? If you're just using straight percentages, we're actually in a better position for that person that wants to generate rental revenue compared to price than we've ever been in.
Right.
We're also at a place like, Tom's great about that. Interest rates now, historically low. I mean, we're sitting here right now as we're recording this. Jumbo loans, 30 years or 3%.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
So the question then becomes, do you think you've got more upside potential for prices to go up, which is risk for you, or to come down more? I think it'd be naive to think that it can't go to zero. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're at a place where, you have the ability to lock in an investment. I will say this, I feel fairly confident that at some point over the next 20, 30 years while you've got that mortgage, let's use that for instance, that the interest rates are going to not only be double, but higher than that at some point. Just history proves itself true. So yeah, you've got an opportunity right now. The other thing is to consider is where are we as far as in your position? So we talk about this. Typically, the people that are buying here, it's not just an investment. Because listen, if you're just buying cap rate or income, go buy an apartment building in Atlanta, or go buy a commercial building somewhere in a commercial area, because that's going to give you cap rate. What we're looking at is we're looking at, historically speaking, over time. Because listen, I don't think anybody should be buying with a 3-year time period, because we just don't know, good, bad, or different. But if you're looking at it over time, historically speaking, we've been 6 to 8% along the coast for the last 40 years. So yes, will there be ups and downs between now and then? Absolutely. Could we see another big year this next year? Probably, because we've got so much pent-up demand. As long as we can get some supply out there, which we're seeing help now, then obviously we're going to probably have another carry through, at least unless we have something macro happen. So from that standpoint, you're looking at income, you're looking at price, but then this is the biggest thing that factors in for the majority of the people that buy in our area. I always tell people, I say, if I were to ask you, because we got something that gives you an ROI that you can't put a number on. And that's what a lot of people do when they're buying here. If I ask them and I say, hey, tell me what it is, when you think of your best childhood memory, what is it? It was probably a family vacation. Odds are it was along the coast somewhere. So here's the people that are making the decisions on buying these luxury type properties, these investment properties at the beach, is not only do you have the ability to have some income, not only do you have the ability to have some price appreciation and and those things, opportunities there potentially, but you also have the ability for your children, your grandchildren, maybe it's some of your employees or coworkers, to frame yourself in some of these people's best memories of their entire life. So think about this. How do you put a price tag on the fact that when your grandson says, you know what, my favorite childhood memory was at my granddad's place in watercolor. My favorite childhood memory was that day that it was crystal clear water. And you never know when that moment's happening. But you see, when you understand that, it does become more than just an investment here. And I will say this, it's a great investment. Don't get me wrong. But let me just say what's even bigger. At the end of our lives, we're not going to remember whether we made 6% or 8% on our cap rate.
That's right.
What we're going to remember is those times with our family, and that's what this place gives that's not going to change, and that makes it critical, as we've seen now, that if you're looking for that, time is of the essence. We have a window there.
That's right.
I just know. I mean, I got a 14-year-old son, man. It's like every day I can see it. I mean, he's doing more of his own thing.
Right.
I've got a daughter who's married now. She doesn't take family vacations as much with us.
Right.
But now with the house here, she keeps coming back. You know
right.
what I mean? So
right.
I think it's just figuring out exactly what it is for yourself. If you try to time the market, you're never going to get it right.
That's right.
So
that's right. That's good advice. So based on kind of where we are right now, what do we look like a year from now? We are starting to see some increase in inventory, which is great. In our days on the market, which is a huge indicator in our market, is going up a little bit. But where are we at a year from now, you think?
Yeah, so and that's none of us have the crystal ball, but I'll give you the best that we can do.
Sure.
Speaking from history, now being through 3 of these cycles, and where I believe we are in the cycle right now. I think next year is going to be an incredible year here. I think that everything we're going to have follow through. We're finally getting some inventory now. What you're beginning to see right now is that you're seeing prices. Sometimes sellers are putting things on the market, and they're on the market, but they're not in the market.
Right.
In other words, they're priced where they're not going to sell.
Right.
They're trying to test the market. We're not seeing that right now.
That's right.
So that's why you're seeing those average days on market, or the time frame from when somebody puts it on the market and it sells, increase. That means we're seeing a little bit of a separation there from what sellers are willing to sell for and buyers are willing to buy for. But what that does is if you've been in a multiple offer situation and lost, or you've tried to compete in the last year, you're probably going to have better opportunities now. Another thing we look at is we saw the first tick down on the list to sales price. And what that basically is the price that something's for sale for versus what it sells for. So the list price, I'm going to just use an easy number. It's been, let's say it's $1 million. They've been selling at 99% now for almost 18 months. We saw the first tick down in June and July to 98%. Not a huge move, but we're beginning to see sellers becoming more negotiable.
Right.
And we're seeing that because of these time frames that they're on there. So if you've been sitting on the sideline as a buyer, you've got more opportunities now to look at properties. You've also got the potential for finding the right place. That may be more negotiable. And historically speaking, the fall, winter time of our market has historically been the best time from a buyer's perspective to buy, because we've got more sellers that are already prepared. They've already kind of cashed in, so to speak, on the dividends they receive through their rents through the summer months. So really, the last half of the year, the first 2 months of the year is the best time in our market from a buyer's perspective to have the ability to negotiate. And also now it's kind of almost like all these trends are coming together like the perfect storm.
Right.
So buyers in reality versus where they were position-wise last year, it's a pretty good place to be.
Yeah. Well, both sides seem to be in a
Absolutely.
a really a great spot.
Yeah. The seller side, you've seen the prices move up. You've
Right.
seen these opportunities. And the interesting thing is most people are not selling to leave our market. They're selling to reposition.
Right.
So what we saw in the pandemic, especially time period, was people spent more time in their own place. So all of a sudden they realized, well, gosh, we really could use that pool. Or, hey, we really could use that 4th, 5th bedroom, whatever it is, for our family. So they're not just selling just to exit. They're selling and repositioning. And since they've got so much equity, they can roll 1031, do some tax advantage things, and all of a sudden now they've got something making more sense than it ever has for them to sell.
Right. Well, we're going to have finish this up a little bit of fun here. We're going to put you on the hot seat. A few questions here to rattle off for you. Favorite spot to hang out on 30A? In general, just a favorite hangout.
Yeah, I will tell you, and it's kind of unique. Eastern Lake Outlet to the beach is one of my favorite spots. And here's why. Large, open area. If you've got small kids, they can play in the lake and you can feel comfortable with them there, even if the waves are up. And, great spot as far as for having and being able to get into the Gulf. Easy in and out. They're building a new facility right there, this next year, which is going to be great. But for me, that's a great spot. It kind of sits almost literally right in the center of the bowl, where you can see to the east. Awesome. You can see Panama City. You can see to the west. You can see you can see over to Destin, all the way over to Destin, and just a great spot.
Yeah. Favorite spot to eat on 30A. Now that's a hard one.
Yeah.
Favorite spot to eat on 30A.
A lot of favorite spots there.
Yeah.
I will say this. I was 12 years old, and my mom was in charge of the Chamber of Commerce for Walton County. You got to understand, 1982, there wasn't hardly anything down here at the beach.
Yeah.
We came down to this gas station in Seagrove where they were having they were cutting a ribbon because they were expanding the kitchen in the back of the gas station.
Yeah.
That now became Seagrove Village Market.
Oh.
Let me say this: I believe, Bill, that when I get to heaven, they're gonna serve grouper po' boys from Seagrove Village Market every single day. I mean, it's something that literally I've never seen anything that just. I mean, I don't know. I know it's probably not the best thing for me, but man, that thing right there owns me.
Yeah, I agree. It is. There's not a bad thing on that menu. I mean, you could spend all day over there.
Yeah.
But favorite place to eat in Destin?
So, so this is, I'm a little old school, okay?
Yeah.
So I grew up and can remember when Harbor Docks was just picnic tables and oysters. You know what I mean? Harbor Docks to me is the classic you can't, that just doesn't go old. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you want sushi. The views are incredible. It doesn't matter whether you want fried rice or you want the freshest catch of the day, because right down bottom is where all of the fish that come into the harbor are typically gone through Harbor Docks' seafood market, so you know you're getting the freshest fish.
Yeah.
And you've got locals that are working there, that a lot of them have been working there for a long time.
Yeah.
To me, it's just one of those you got to stop by and see.
Honorable mention to Dewey Destin.
No doubt about it.
If you go, we used to go on. If you go on we would go after church on a Sunday morning when the boat just came in.
Yes.
From being there basically all night, and
Yeah.
it was. I mean, it's amazing. Also, like Beauchamps in Destin.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
My dad knows the Phillips family, so we can get in there anytime we want. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's okay.
That's right.
Favorite beach on 30A to spend time at?
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of interesting too. I mentioned Eastern Lake, but let me say this. To me, the classic is Grayton Beach.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing in like it. I mean, you've got there are probably more locals per capita at Grayton Beach than there are because of the ability to drive out on the beach.
It feels that way too.
Oh yeah, and and then just to be able to walk up at lunch and walk in, have something at Red Bar, or go over to Stringo's, or whatever you want to do. But it's like once you get to Grayton Beach, you've arrived.
Right.
And it's got a different feel, that little hippie chic beach kind of feel.
It's a true, what I tell people, an old Florida beach town.
Absolutely.
Like just wear your bathing suit and your flip flops, and it's.
And it hasn't changed.
Right.
I mean, literally when I was a teenager, that was, the Red Bar was the general store.
Right.
And I mean, and so that was the spot where that was it down here for the most part, and so so to see what the Red Bar has become, and how Grayton Beach has not only continued to grow, but to maintain that feel is just
which
incredible.
Is not easy to do.
No.
When you progress all around you, and it's and of course the only beach you can, with the permit, you can drive your car out on, which is great.
Yeah.
All right. Last one. Favorite, and it doesn't be a yearly event, but favorite event in this area that you like to?
Oh man, so many of those. I mean, there's so many of them. I mean, the Songwriters Festival is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say this, and I don't even run, but the Seaside,
marathon,
half marathon and 5K. I've always said, my wife ran it one year and it was so great. I mean, and I was like, she finished and I was like, we took a picture and I was like, we did it.
Yeah.
Like that one time I had to take the kids to school early, so you get your long run. But the whole setup for the whole weekend, you have 5,000 people converge on our area, end of June, 1st of February, in a time that, it used to be ghost town down here. And you have the food events with that. You have all those things. Everything you've got with Songwriters Festival. To me, those two are my favorite because typically they're in the off season, and it's just a time where it's almost like it's the precursor that spring's right around the corner.
Yeah. It's hard to list the best events around here. There are so many. Well, Jimmy, hey, I appreciate you hanging out with us. This was great. If you have any questions about buying or selling, anything I can do for you, if I can be a resource in any way, please let me know. If you're watching this on YouTube, just make sure subscribe to my channel. We're going to do a lot more content. We're going to talk to people around the community. We're going to visit places and fun things to do. We're going to have a lot of fun. So again, for Jimmy Burgess, Bill Ullery, thanks for watching Along the Beach, and we'll see you next month.